Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's actually when I've given talks, I've had a sporty acronym for this, and I call it GAME, GAME.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I really just evolved into this during the pandemic, early on 20, the pandemic started 2020, okay, April 2020. Um,
Mm-hmm.
G starts for gratitude, and I learned this mental hack and skill as early as 2018, I think 2017. That I think I encountered a podcast interviewing Tony Robbins. If you're familiar with Tony
Okay.
Robbins, is this this success coach and talks about his morning routine. And one of the things he does in his morning routine is he has a gratitude journal, and he writes down the things he's grateful for. And learning more and reading more into it, and I was encountering a lot of articles that there was research by Harvard, by Stanford, and whatnot, and they were researching people who were executives and professionals who were doing these things, that their productivity, focus, and happiness just were going up and up and up, partly because of having a gratitude practice. And it's as simple as really just answering a question of what are you grateful for today? What are the three things you're
Mm-hmm.
grateful for today? And so I started that as a regular practice as well. And it just worked wonders for me in terms of my mental health and wellness and stability. Second would be acceptance. And I've mentioned this a bit already earlier in terms of
Yeah.
just having that mindset of acceptance and knowing that there's a border for my stress levels. That there's some things I can't control. That's okay. I'll leave that to the universe, and I'll focus on things I can control. And back then, it was my physical health. I was gaining a bit of weight. Medyo nagkakadad bod ako because of the pandemic, so I wanted to be healthier. Started exercising again, starting to go back on my nutrition plan, and it was down. I was able to, successfully do that. M is mindfulness and meditation, actually. So I started to meditate as well more regularly starting last year. And there's various ways to do it. When I was a kid, I was exposed to some really challenging ones. Like my mom would bring me to a Zen meditation class. Okay, like the ones that
Mm-hmm.
Phil Jackson would do. Like, it's like that's
Yeah.
hard for a teenager to sit down and just be quiet for an hour. And that was one of the things that my mom was trying to make me do. So nowadays, ang daming iba. I mean, there's like simple guided meditations. There's so many apps out there. There's an app, if you may have seen this, the app Calm is a meditation app, and guess who their lead endorser is? A guy named LeBron James. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's no secret anymore that the most, you know, successful people in this world, the high performers in sports, entrepreneurship, and whatnot, are doing these things. And like, let's get a clue, man. I mean, they're happy and successful and productive, and this is what they're doing. It's some people may be turned off like, oh my god, it's so hipster, meditation and gratitude, but believe me, it's such basic life skills that apparently can fuel us to be superhumans. So that's one thing. So the meditation and the mindfulness, if you can find a way to be mindful and meditative, try it out and see what it can do for you. And the last letter E is just evolve. And I've mentioned this, in time and again within the last hour we've been talking. It's just that willingness to evolve, never settling to be who you are. Even in sports, just never settle. You never settle. Always working harder the next day, like Kobe. I want to work harder to be better myself. I will never be complacent at the level of skill I have in this sport. But as a big picture, never be complacent in who you are in your life in terms of your aspects of your life, whether it's your physical health, your mental health, your who you are in your relationship with your friends or your parents or your siblings or your spouse, that you can find ways to be a better version of yourself. Maybe be more patient, maybe be more generous, maybe be more forgiving. And damning aspects of life where you can break it down and see maybe I can be a little bit better. So that for me is game. So it's gratitude, acceptance, meditation, mindfulness, evolve. So those are the tips that I've learned to develop the last year and a half that I'm grateful I did, and I'm able to share this to people who want to be mentally well, mentally tougher, mentally more balanced. And I think that if people are able to practice these skills consistently, they'll be better off, and they'll be able to fend off these stress and triggers. Yes, life will happen, breakups will happen, people will die in your life. You may lose a job. You may your businesses may go up and down, whatever. But the resiliency is built within you if you're able to keep yourself stable. For me, I was able to put it to a supreme road test. ABS-CBN was shut down months later when I started these things. And when
Mm-hmm.
it was shut down, we were all in tears and crying and angry. But I was shocked because if anything if there was any moment in my life that probably could have and should have triggered another anxiety episode in me since my in my early 20s, that should have been it.
Yeah.
Going through that horror of watching the ABC been shut down. But it didn't. And I was focused and I was stable. I was angry and sad and crying, but I was in control.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling my wife and my sister, you know what? Wow, I think this all this meditation and journaling has helped me a lot in terms of being in control. So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to put it to a really supreme road test, and now I'm a living proof that this stuff works, man. So it can really put you in a great, you know, zone and center. And if there's one last bit of advice I can give that means a lot to sports fans, my favorite moment of um, the Last Dance with Michael Jordan was not probably the favorite moment of a lot of people. It is when his biographer, the author of his book, I forget his name right now, said in an interview that Michael Jordan's biggest or best gift is not his athletic ability. His
Mm-hmm.
superpower is his ability to be present in everything that he does. Whether it's on the court practicing, whether it's in a meeting with you, whether it's in an interview, whether he's spending time with his kids, whatever, he's always present and focused. Especially in the world that we live in nowadays, there's so much distractions from our
Mm-hmm.
phones, social media, and just worrying about tomorrow, regretting what you did yesterday. It's so difficult to be here now and present. And maybe this gift was given to him by Phil Jackson as a Zen master and coach, mentor. Maybe I don't know where he developed
Mm-hmm.
it, but he was good at it, and that's what the
Mm-hmm.
guy said was this is his superpower. He's such a mentally strong human being, and he can be so present every moment in everything he does. And that's why he's so successful in what he was able to do. And for me, that was a major wow moment. Like, oh my god, wow! I'm thankful I pulled this nugget out of that episode, out of the 10 episodes, out of so many things that happened in the documentary. I'm loving this moment, and I'm grateful I can share it to sports fans alike to have that
Mm-hmm.
perspective on the mind, on the human, capacity. That if we are just stronger in being present in everything we do, we can be better in everything we do. So yeah.